because people, they need to feel, they need to touch. They are also reassured by your presence. It's emotional.
This is Unplugged, a series of conversations with creative minds from the design industry and beyond, hosted by H&H.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of H&H Unplugged. We have the big pleasure today to be here with Sybille de Margerie, the founder of eponymous office Sybille de Margerie studio in Paris. Sybille, good morning. Thank you for being here. And we know that this year marks also the anniversary of your 30 years of activities. So congratulations for that.
Well, good afternoon to you as well. And yes, it was last year our 30th anniversary, and happily we were able to feast before the strike in Paris, and then before the pandemic. So it's nice to think of it.
Sybille, to start with our interview, I have the very first question for you. This emergency is global, but the reactions and the consequences are very much local. Do you think that this is a sign and it's giving a signal that we have to go back and rethink our communities, ourselves, and focus more again on a local level?
Yeah, for sure. I think that things will change. And first, you can't depend on a country for manufacturing, only one country. So it means that you have to split whatever you're doing. It could be for projects and could be for manufacturing. It has to be splitted, because otherwise you depend on one country, and it can be very dangerous because we are facing a pandemic, but it could be also a political crisis or like a revolution. It has happened by the past, and we've seen for Egypt or Syria, we had projects there and suddenly it has stopped. So anyway, we have to think like that now. That's I think it will be a break for globalization for sure. But also we need to consider the expertise that are really proper to certain countries, and like we can speak about Italy for furniture and lighting. And so of course we need also to consider this expertise, and this is about international community. It's not globalization. It's that to rely on the expertise on different countries and to play with that. But for sure we can't depend on only one country. So we have to be very careful in the future to split more the work and the manufacturing for sure. And also to develop, inside resources, because we are all facing the same issues that we have seen, that for medical care, we have not invested as we should have done in every country, and now we depend on others. So we have, for main things, we have to be able to be sufficient and autosufficient. I think it's really clear. And it's what happened today.
Do you think that at least psychologically, through means of the big dramatic social and technological development that we've seen happening in the world in the last 70 years, after the Second World War, basically, there has been a big boom, a big social development and technological too. Through means of those tools, basically, have we arrived in a way or another prepared to this emergency, or not really at all?
We are part of those generations that are really spoiled, because we have never faced any big crisis. I mean, of course, we have always faced small crises, but this is not what is happening today. And we have not had any war, and we are very spoiled in a way that we can access to everything every month of the year. It means that even for the product, you can eat strawberry during winter, which shouldn't be. So we are really spoiled. So I think that we are not really prepared, and I think that's something that we are really missing. And we are not used to deprivation and to patience, and this is something that everyone has to face. And this is really interesting because then you have your own human resources, and you have to deal with that. And I think it's a very good experience.
This is a very good point, and leads me to another question to you, which is, do you think that now this priority list is going to last? We are reshuffling and we are reviewing the importance that we are giving to products.
Yeah, when I was mentioning deprivation, I was also mentioning the fact that you can't go to a restaurant, you can't meet your friends, your relatives. So it's a deprivation. It's not only about products, yeah.
Right.
And it's a great one, a difficult one, I would say. I will speak for myself because I think this is also about the conversation and. But the containment on my side has not changed my priorities because they have always been the same. And I mean, I like good food, good wines. I like artworks, books. So, I'm fine. I have everything. Only the main things missing for me is the contact with my children. And with relatives, family, relatives, and I think everyone's facing the same situation. But I'm not buying extravagant clothes or or racing cars. So I think my priorities are still the same, and so it just underlined the fact that it was right to do like that, because then this is the main thing that you can get today. And this is it. So I'm fine with what I have today. And something I also appreciate a lot is the bikes that I bought for for the flat, and because I can use it every day. But this kind of thing. So, but as far as you have these main things that make you happy, of course, I mean, to share the containment with someone you love, and then you have access to the food, to the wine, and this kind of thing is far enough. This is my opinion, but of course, okay. I'm sure for some people more are missing.
For sure, a point about, or to discuss, let's say, about the fact that we are speaking we are seeing each other now through a device, through a technological device, an iPad. The technology is helping us, and the technology is taking now more and more part of into our lives. Do you think that it's possible to complete and to achieve a very great and good result for an interior design project, to establish the same kind of empathy with the client through a device, through the screen of a technological device?
Well, I think things will change in a way that I think that we'll avoid some travel for sure in the future, which will look not necessary. But then for sure, nothing can replace the direct contact. And for main meetings like a presentation, when you share with your clients, you explain the project, you share the finishes, then it can't be replaced, because people, they need to feel, they need to touch, and also they are also reassured by your presence, and something it's emotional in a way, but it's key, and it's really I think we have a role. It's like being a psychiatrist, in a way. So yeah. you have a really close contact. You are taking care of a property for someone who will live in this property, or for a hotel, and the investor is really concerned about the project. And so you have this very close contact that makes the things happen, and you will never be able to replace that for sure. But for sure, you also can replace some travels, but not every.
The human empathy cannot be substituted for sure by the screen. The proxemic science says that, talking about human beings, there are 4 levels of spaces, one after the other. The intimate space, the personal space, there is a social space, and there is a public space. The intimate and personal space now forced by the moment, by the quarantine, by the isolation, is taking now more space, reducing the social and the public space. How might the hospitality design be influenced in the future by that? And speaking about design, what do you think that the scale, which will be the scale more affected? Like product design, or if any, or architecture and interior design?
I think that what you mentioned, it's like layers, and more you dig into, more you have access to it. So, and it's the same with knowledge, you know. So it's you have different level. You have the very superficial one that everyone can access, and as you can realize, I mean, more you can access to things easily, less you go deep. So I think that we have always, my opinion is, as intimacy for me remains your own and should be only shared with someone you love. And then if you speak about personal needs to be shared with your family and your best friends. And then after you have the social and the public, and this could be shared for social reason or business reason. And for us, we have always privileged in our design the emotional dimension. So the things that touch yourself in the deepest way. So nothing superficial, nothing free for no gesture for nothing, nothing which is not essential. So we have really privileged this in our decor. It's really centered on emotion and what I would say the intangible dimension. So I think we will follow with this philosophy because it is a proof today that it is what really cares, what is really important to everyone in those days. And so I think this is also our recipe, and why the hotels that we have done are so successful is because it's more about the feeling and something it is really connected to you, not in a superficial way, but in a more deep way.
Speaking about hotels, we saw a time, and I'm referring specifically from what I see, the Middle Eastern region. We saw a time where the hotels, they were designed like houses. Later, the houses started being designed like hotels. Do you think that this trend will reverse?
So I think that now there are no more boundaries between hotels and private residential areas, because hotel originally were really true laboratory where you were able to experience things that you were not able to experience in a private home. But now all the equipment and technology are accessible by everyone, and because first, because you have the access by internet, so you have a level of knowledge and expectations that has changed. So now it's really different. I think the only difference is that, of course, you have to care in a different way for hotels because you have maintenance issues, you have fire regulation to be so these kind of things are different, but this is mainly the only thing.
Sybille, what after 30 years of a career, successful career, what would be the advice that you would like to give if you had in front of you today the young Sybille?
I said, do it now. There may be a law against it tomorrow. It means that if you have the opportunity to do something today, do not report it to tomorrow. And this is a proof today. And I've always lived like that. And I think this is really important in the way that you, even in the work, in every field, it will be my advice.
What is the core value that no matter what, you will never compromise in your work?
Humanity, because I think that you work with people and you share things with a team. You work with your suppliers. They are people. They are human people. Also, they bring their knowledge and their expertise as your team. And then you work for clients, and they are human people with their expectation, with their. So it's all about human. So humanity for me is really key.
On your website, you say that one of your aims and goals is to make the technology attractive and comfortable. Like, are the technology that we are using today comfortable, friendly, and attractive enough, or do you see room for improvement?
I think that it's like now there is more balance in the technology. We went a little too far. Everything was really about technology, but for me, and this is my credo, my credo is make the technology attractive, means that the technology has to serve you, and you have not to serve the technology. It has to be simple, accessible. Of course, it's a luxury because then you can have program different mood for the light, for example, if you speak about the light, but it has to remain simple. When you enter a luxury resort and somebody is bringing the iPad and explain for 30 minutes how the room is working, then you have lost your client.
So not making the technology be the protagonist of the experience.
I just, it's a funny thing, but I was in Milano for the fair, and I took a room in a hotel. There was no more hotel left, so it was quite an old hotel close to the Duomo. It's like from the 60s or something like that. So it was not a technological hotel, but I couldn't find the switch
for the light.
For the light. So I had to to take off the bulb, because I couldn't find it. So it was really just saying, and I'm an expert, I'm a professional. I say, I couldn't find this switch to turn off the light, so it could be really a nightmare.
Again, referring to your website, your goals, therefore your credo, your watchwords are color, culture, and creation. Do you feel like there is space now to add or to reconsider?
I'm very comfortable. I'll add something at the end, but I'm very comfortable with those words. If you speak about colors, look outside. Nature is not in black and white. And I believe it has a great impact on the energy and on feeling. So I'm really keen about colors. And also it can be relevant to have different colors according to the place where you work. I mean, you not use the same colors in Italy than in Dubai or in New York, in Paris. So it's really, you can really match with the place around. And culture, for me, there's no luxury without culture. And this is really, really important in our work, and it's always part of our work. Creation, what else? What else? It's all about our mission, so it's obvious. But you've missed someone which is really, really important to us, and it's comfort. And comfort. And in those days, you can really appreciate what it means, because and if I've never choose any chair, any piece of design which only is nice without being comfortable. And comfort is really key, and is also very important in luxury properties. So it's a strong word for us as well. I think that everybody will agree on that today.
Sybille, we always close our interviews with our guests with a couple of personal, more human, let's say, questions. Mm-hmm. How does your typical quarantine day look like?
Well, I'm quite disciplined because it's really important, I think, also for the mental aspect. So I start my day with either cycling, either footing outside. But now you're obliged to go outside before 10 or after 7 p.m. So we have to be respectful for the hours. And so sport. After work, and I visit my mother every 2 days. She's 91, but she's in good health. But she's of course in isolation. So it's important to just, even if you have no contact, to be there. And after in the afternoon, I learn Italian.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm back to school. I think that you have to go out of this quarantine with better skills. So you have to learn something from it. It can be a reflection about the life or business or a relationship, but also you can improve your skills in cooking, in sport, in learning. So I think this is also something you have to get better.
And the last one is, what will be the very first thing that you will do once your quarantine will be over?
See my kids. It's you have this kind of Zoom or house party things that it's nice because you can at least see them, but you'll never replace the fact to be together and to enjoy things together. So really to see my kids.
Very good, and I hope that will happen soon for you and for your kids and for your beloved all. And thank you very much, Sybille, for spending time with us today. It was a very nice pleasure, big pleasure, and I hope to see you soon again in Dubai in person.
Yeah, for sure. We're all looking forward to it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.